Hello, I'm Avery or Hazel or Kylie. You can just pick one, I don't care.
Hello, I am Lily.
And welcome to the From the Closet podcast. Today we are covering Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 6. We're nearing the end, unfortunately, because,
I don't know. I mean, it's good, but everything has to come to an end eventually.
yeah, but I don't think it. We'll probably talk about it more in Season 7, but I don't think ABC was ready for this show to come to an end, artistically
Hmm.
speaking. Um, but we'll get to that. Like all the Marvel shows that were ongoing at the time were canceled, and it wasn't just Agents of Shield, it was everything.
How fun.
Yeah. But anyway, obviously this podcast will contain spoilers for, said season of Agents of Shield. If you haven't seen it, once again, I would suggest go watch it. There will be a link in the description below to the Just Watch page for this series, which itself will have links to every place you can rent, purchase, or stream this series on, with price comparisons for renting and purchasing. With that being said, for us here in the US, it's available for streaming on Disney Plus. Also in the description, you'll find a link to our Patreon where you can vote on future episodes of this show, as well as get access to episodes before they release, as well as early access to episodes of our sister show, Off the Shelf, which is about books and is exclusive to YouTube and Patreon. Speaking of future episodes, you can join us next week for Cars 3 and The Amazing Spider-Man. You can also join us next month for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 7. Uh, so we are very, very much nearing the end here. Uh, but anyway, um, also in the description, you will find a link to Anchor.fm, which is now Spotify for podcasters. God, I could not think of how that ended. Spotify for podcasters, which itself will have links to every platform this podcast is on, as well as links to our Instagram and Twitter, where you can be notified when we release a new episode. And for any of you out there who are like, actually, it's X. No, it isn't. Um,
Actually, it no longer exists, in at least in the next few years or months, give or take.
Yeah, we'll see. Uh, but with all that said, please get out if you would like to avoid spoilers, because we are going to start talking about this season now. And actually, I want to start off talking about this season by talking about before this season.
So you're gonna start
Specifically,
talking about this season before, by not talking about this season.
yeah. So to specify what I mean, I want to talk about the season 5 recap, because I watched it and legit, I was starting to tear up. Like when
Hmm.
they were talking about like Coulson dying and stuff, because like goddamn. And I had mentioned to you how the whole thing with like Coulson in the comics is uh, kind of a weird topic, and the
Yeah.
reason why is because he's not originally a comic book character.
Hmm.
He was in the movies first.
But then,
But then he was added into the comics in 2011. So he'd already
huh?
been in Iron Man and uh, Thor, and I think he was in Iron Man 2 as well. Avengers was in 2012, so he wasn't in that. But yeah, that's why I said Coulson in the comics is kind of a weird gray area. And also the storyline that we go with here isn't one that's very well known. It's actually hard to find any details about it online. Um,
Is it like following the monolith, shit?
sorry, what?
It's following the monolith plotline.
Yeah. Um, see, like I knew it was going to go in this direction somehow. I wasn't sure how they were going to handle it because they destroyed the monoliths in season 5, but whatever.
I
They
mean, in the previous season, they even said that the monolith's destruction. I mean, there was still remnants of it. Nothing can
yeah.
be destroyed.
Now, there was something interesting about the whole monolith situation in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that had me seriously questioning things. And it's the monolith from seasons 2 and 3.
Hmm.
Because that wasn't one of the three that's associated with Izel or Ezel or however the fuck you say her name. That one was completely different. And I went back and I looked at like information, and apparently people were saying that that one was created by the Kree, which is
Huh.
kind of weird.
Yeah. No. In
That's
fact, that was part of the Kree storyline, wasn't it?
yeah, like I'm not sure. Like that's a whole weird one.
I, if I had to guess, they just changed it a little bit because they didn't want to introduce a whole nother monolith.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. But yeah, like I knew we were going to head in the direction of like dealing with the person who created the monoliths, or as we now know them, the Dialis.
And that is this weird society of people.
Yeah,
Or,
I mean, it is. Yeah, technically she didn't make them, but she did create the Shrike, so that's a whole thing.
and all the strike was to find the three monoliths.
Well, I mean, the purpose of the Shrike seemed to be to just get hosts for um her people to inhabit.
I
It's
guess
weird.
that makes sense.
Yeah. But something else I want to highlight in this
Hmm.
season, and it's going to be a thing for next season too. The team at Marvel TV didn't really know much about what the movies were going to be doing. Um, and if you notice here, they keep talking about how it's been 1 year since the previous season. Well, if you remember, the ending of that season also coincided with Infinity War.
Though they never actually mention anything about Infinity War either.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. The team at Marvel TV didn't know. Like, they knew that Thanos was going to win, but they didn't know what was going to happen after that. So they were just kind of hoping that jumping forward 1 year would be enough. It wasn't. So
Not
it
by a long
leaves
shot.
Yeah, it leaves Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. season 6 and 7 in a weird situation. There is an in universe explanation, and it's really a cop out, but I mean, whatever. But you just have to assume that none of the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. characters were snapped out of existence.
I mean, it's not that
Which,
big of a leap in judgment.
I mean, it is a little unbelievable, but then again, so is asking people to believe that none of the original 6 Avengers were snapped out of existence. And that happened in the movie, so
I mean, everyone had a coin flip, right? But
yeah.
not just that. Everyone in the entire world It's basically everyone in the
universe.
entire world versus half of them. All just half of them.
Yeah. Now, people have said it is dispassionate. Like, one species could go without a single one of their members vanishing from existence, and another might go totally extinct. So, there is quite a bit of randomness here. It's just, it doesn't feel quite right that they don't address the snap at all.
To be fair, they do have other pressing matters.
Well, I mean, a mention of it, at least.
Yeah. I mean, they just couldn't mention it
Yeah.
because
Now,
they didn't know.
to be fair here, they don't interact with the civilian population all that much in this season, and supposedly they don't interact with the civilian population all that much next season either.
I mean, I don't think it matters if they interact with the civilian population in the next season.
Why?
Oh, because of what happened at the end of the episode?
I mean, at the end, we just see an LMD of Coulson. And granted, we also get hints that Fitz and Simmons were traveling through time.
Oh yeah, a little bit before, no, a little bit after that, where the Empire State Building was still being built. I also peeked ahead at the next episode description. It's just like one description of they are now back at 1939, I believe,
Hmm. So
which
you
is
kind of
episode.
do have a little bit of spoilers on what's going to be going on here.
I mean, I didn't know exactly when the Empire State Building was being built. I guess I do now.
Yeah. Well, yeah, season 7's going to be heavy time travel stuff.
Just like the
Again.
last season.
Yep. I knew this was coming. There's some interesting things that I knew were coming in this season. Like, one, I had seen the scene of the weird zombie Simmons and Framework Fitz like making out, and like the real Simmons and Fitz seeing it and being like, what the fuck? I had no idea what the other Fitz or Simmons were at the time. I had just seen that scene completely out of context.
What a scene.
Yeah, what a scene that was.
No, I love that episode so much because
Yeah,
that's just that's intense, just peak intense mindfuckery.
indeed. And here's
And
some other mindfuckery I want to throw out.
hmm,
So they talk about Deke's future no longer existing. You know, the future where he's from.
yeah,
That's bullshit. Deke's future absolutely still exists. You cannot travel to the past and change the future. You create a new universe and a new future, but that old one still exists. Otherwise, Deke himself could not exist. That and like this is just how multiverse theory works. His future is out there somewhere.
however, I mean, to him, it doesn't exist.
Yeah, I mean,
It can't
hy-
exist. He can't go to
hy-
it.
hypothetically, yeah, he can't go to it. There are ways like Miss America could show up and take him there. Mobius could show up and take him there, but in all actuality, we're probably never going to see him again after season 7, so I don't think it matters.
Also, how did it just become like really big in this world?
Sorry, what became really big?
Uh, Deke.
Yeah, I mean, he got super rich stealing ideas from Shield tech and stuff that he's seen.
In a year. He got so rich in a year.
I mean, it
Damn.
happens to some people.
Apparently it happens to people that are named Deke.
I
If
mean,
your
I'm
name is
not too
Deke out
surprised.
there, go start a tech company.
I'm not really that surprised that Deke managed to get rich. He was always a conniving sort of dude. He knew how to manipulate situations to his advantage. That was very clear in season 5.
But not very
I mean,
well.
he
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 can,
he literally sold Daisy into slavery.
he knew how to manipulate situations. I don't find him manipulating people very well.
Yeah. I gotta say though, there are some things about this season, like I do like more than season 5, but I do think seasons 4 and 5 are better. Um, I think
Yeah,
I don't think this season has like a super major flaw like what season 5 had with Cassius. Um, but overall,
but
it's just not
yeah.
as fun as season 5.
I mean, I feel like the most interesting episodes in season 6 are the taking a look at Fitz and Simmons' brains, and there's some others
I really
that
enjoy
I can't remember.
Sarge and his crew. Like Snowflake was a very fun character for me. I loved her.
You're gonna turn into a nice little butterfly. Or is
Yeah,
it bunny?
don't don't
I
worry.
know, but
You'll be a butterfly. Which I don't know how she knows what a butterfly is. Apparently there are butterflies on whatever planet she's from.
oh,
But
by the way, apparently, so I was looking it up on some Marvel Wikipedia, and I forgot which page mentioned it as. Well, can I please not sneeze in the middle of recording?
wow,
Inconvenience. Okay, sorry. Um, I forgot what Wikipedia page called, no, Marvel Wiki page called it, but one led a link, and it was called whatever it's called, the Nightmare Dimension. Of course, when you actually took it, the actual page was called, what was her fucking name again?
Izel?
Yeah, Izo's Realm.
Yeah. Is
So,
that
how did this play out in the comics?
I haven't read this storyline. I just read a summary back in the day. So
Ah,
and like I said, it's hard to find any information on this storyline because it wasn't a very big one. And you have no idea how many fucking comics there are. Like, Jesus Christ.
okay, so how was the summary? Just basically like this? What happened?
Well, for starters, it was years ago, so it feels like basically it was the same. Um, I don't think the monoliths had ever been destroyed in the comics, so there was that whole thing. Um, I don't think Coulson was nearly as involved. Daisy might have been the director instead of Mac. I'm not sure. There's a lot of random differences just in general, and I'm not
Yeah.
sure when exactly this storyline took place. Um,
I think a lot of things just happened all at once, and I don't like for starters, I don't actually remember how or like how much time Fitz and Simmons had to go back in time.
See, the fun thing is, okay, one thing I do want to say is I very much love that we didn't just get Fitz back immediately, and I also love that they made the whole situation with his death actually still have consequences. Like I I had hoped that when they brought him back that there was going to be some kind of tension there and him having to deal with the things that he missed. Because I felt like it was entirely possible that they could have just done a whole situation where everything gets explained to him off screen, and then some other character is speaking to Simmons and is like, "Oh, how's he taking in everything? Oh, he's sad, but he'll get through it or whatever." Like,
I
I
mean,
could
to
have
be fair,
seen
his
that.
death, like the Fitz death in this part was only meant for because they couldn't just have two Fitz in the same world. However, they did use it to some sort of narrative degree.
No, they very clearly knew what they were doing. Um, they wanted this to not only be a thing for like story purposes, just in terms of like the actual plot, but they also wanted it to be there for like individual character development, character relationship development. I thought it was great. Uh, Enoch, who was great in the last season, is also great in this season.
Oh, absolutely.
So, like, at least there's that constant. And then, of course, we have the characters who are always great. Yo Yo, Daisy, Mac. Although Mac hasn't always been great. I did find myself getting annoyed with him in season two.
But I mean, this is not season two anymore.
Yeah.
I bet the characters wish it was season two.
Hell, a lot of the characters from season two aren't even here anymore. Like, we don't have Bobby and Hunter. Gonzalez actually showed up and died in season two. Ward hasn't been around for multiple seasons now.
I mean,
Agent Trip, he died, and then we saw him again in the framework, but that was it. But yeah,
Coulson.
I had told you during our season five recap that
Hmm.
I knew multiple characters who had died in season five were coming back in some form. So yeah, Fitz, Coulson, Flint. It
Technically,
happened.
okay. Technically, Coulson didn't really come back until the very end, and
Yeah,
that even then, that's a what the entire fuck.
yeah, they made an
Also,
LMD of Coulson, so like that's a whole thing.
to be fair, it's like way better than any other of the LMD kind.
Yeah, I mean this one wasn't made from the Darkhold, presumably.
Hopefully.
Yeah, because
And
good lord, that Darkhold stuff was messy. They even referenced it in the whole like Fitzsimmons mind prison, which I thought was crazy.
I love how it's like, what book is this? Closes it. No, no, that bad book. That's a bad book.
Yeah.
I like, terrible has bad ending. No, you don't want to read that.
Yep. I love the mindfuckery there. I'm kind of intrigued that they didn't mention the method of time travel that ends up being used in Avengers Endgame. Because from
And
what I understand, it does get introduced in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. first. So I
huh,
suppose we will be seeing that in season 7.
which with Agent Coulson again
Yeah, I mean, I'm not
in
upset that they've made a Coulson.
1939.
Yeah. I'm not upset that they've made a Coulson LMD, I'm going to be honest, because it's just so fun to watch Clark Gregg act. He is so good.
Oh no, have no um watching him in Sarge was just so fun.
Yes, agreed. But he's also fun as Phil Coulson too.
I mean, he is a
And
great actor, especially like he gets Agent Coulson's mannerisms down while also just being a completely, different character with different goals.
yeah, and like the whole idea here was that the monoliths created a double of Coulson and sent it back in time and somewhere out into space. And this non-corporeal being who was apparently at some point in a relationship with Izel possessed this double of Coulson and also
Oh, that's
forgot
why
everything
she
about
was
who it
so horny
was.
for him. That
Sorry,
all makes
what?
sense now. I was like, oh, that's why she was so horny for him.
Yeah, like that is a crazy story that they were dealing with here, and I was wondering where the hell they would go with it.
Apparently,
I
all the way,
suppose,
because wow.
yeah, I suppose I didn't need to reveal in last season that the third monolith was for creation because they figured that out on their own here.
And they also, yeah, no, wasn't a fear realm. The monolith was just creating things. Oh,
Yeah.
silly.
So, not surprised there. I did love, just going back to the whole thing of like everything that was going on during that time during season 5. I did love that they brought back the whole thing of like Simmons knowing that Fitz was like hearing the voice of the framework Fitz.
Oh yeah, which because all the framework fit stuff that was resolved last season, but not as him. So we just need
Yeah,
to get that quickly resolved. In fact, a lot of thing. In fact, actually, episode 6 was just, hey, remember Fitz and Simmons' problems? Yeah, we're just gonna have to quickly resolve this.
and they really did fight like a fucking married couple. Like they
Oh
were
yeah.
fucking screaming at each other, and literally in their screaming match, they were talking about how much they love each other. Which is like, yeah, y'all are a fucking married couple. Even if this version of Fitz never actually married her, who cares?
See, here's the thing. Fitz and Simmons' wedding was so great they had to have it twice.
Although I don't actually think we're going to be seeing a second wedding
Hey, Phil Coulson can attend 2 weddings.
of the same two people.
I was actually thinking about that when, during episode 6, I know I keep mentioning it by the episode number, but like, I was even thinking about, it's like, oh hey, they have a wedding. Phil Coulson won't be there to see it. Guess who's wrong?
Yeah, you're always wrong.
That's not true.
I okay,
Actually,
so
that is factually incorrect.
shut the fuck up, Ben Shapiro.
According to the evidence, all the evidence would imply that Phil Coulson is in fact dead.
Yeah. So now I guess we have to ask the question, what happens if the Avengers find out that there is a Phil Coulson LMD running around? And I guess to be fair, there aren't many of them who would even know who Phil Coulson was.
Avery,
Like, most of them aren't around anymore. I'm pretty sure the only ones that are even around anymore in current day MCU are Thor and Hawkeye. Hawkeye's retired, and Thor is probably going to be retiring soon.
so Avery, I just want to just say something right here. I feel like we both know there is a very high chance of that Phil robot LMD not surviving season 7.
That is very possible too, yes.
Like I just knowing their track record this far, no, I'm placing all my money on Phil Coulson just not living. And I bet it's gonna be in a sacrifice as well. You
Yeah.
know, like probably not at the end of the season, but like um the 3/4 of the way, he has to sacrifice himself for the team. Yeah.
Light spoiler, I guess, but I know that most of our main crew make it out alive. Like, I know most of the people who I know a decent chunk of the characters make it through season 7 and are still alive at the end of the show.
To be fair, I know that Phil Coulson only has 2 dates of death. Only 2.
Yeah,
And that's
and I'm
probably
fairly
because
certain.
this new one has a new Wikipedia page. But whatever.
Well, a new Marvel wiki page. Yeah, I know he
Yeah.
does.
Yeah, that's what I'm sorry. That I meant new Marvel wiki page.
I actually went to his wiki page and multiple other characters' wiki pages. Something interesting I want to point out here is Piper gets a massive role in this season. Like, she's
Oh
gone from
yeah,
being an
finally.
extremely minor character to, I would say, a major character.
Us She went from a character so minor when we saw her last season, I had no idea who she was, to pretty major.
Yeah. I have no idea if she makes it through to the end of the series. So she's pretty much the only major character now who I don't know.
So, okay, we have a side character becoming a main character. Yeah,
Oh,
she's
wait.
fucking dead.
Piper and Deke. Piper and Deke are the two characters I don't know if they survive to the end of the series.
My money is on Deke surviving, Piper does not.
We'll see. But yeah, speaking of Deke, I really did love, like, when he finally just, like, blew up um, about everything, like, talking about how he doesn't belong. Uh, his girlfriend's apparently a psychopath. I don't know where that came from. His own grandfather doesn't even like him. Uh, the girl he does like thinks he's a fucking loser, which to be fair, he is. And it's like, I love how he shut down everybody's assumptions about him and then, like, actually does something, takes action, even if he was reckless.
I mean, literally half of the characters in this show are reckless.
I don't think I would say that, but
Really?
yeah, yeah, I really wouldn't. I would say that they calculate risks quite a lot of the time.
Really, was the risk calculated when Daisy just decided to bull on her own to find some miracle cure for Agent Coulson?
Well, what risks even were there aside from the lighthouse itself being attacked?
To be fair, she didn't know about, the lighthouse itself being attacked, but that's what ended up happening.
Yeah, but I
And then
don't
again, there
feel
was like,
like
okay, I actually just remembered the worst one, Ancient May just destroying their one chance of stopping everything. Just
what?
outright.
What are you talking about?
And sorry, I'm trying to describe it better, but I can't. Last season when they're like, do we use this the scorpion stuff to either save Coulson or defeat
Oh my god,
the
you meant
big bad?
centipede.
What?
You meant centipede.
Yeah, whatever. I That's what I meant to say.
Yeah, like it took but as soon as you said scorpion, I was like, Scorpion? What the fuck are you talking about? And then you said to save Coulson, and I'm like, wait, what? Oh, centipede.
I always read the name Centipede. Such a
But
weird
no,
word.
like that wouldn't have that most likely would not have worked, and Coulson wasn't gonna take it anyway.
And also, Daisy just completely defiled her mother's grave.
What risk was there other than her mother possibly being alive?
Haunting. We've seen weirder things. I'm
I have
just
a
saying.
feeling that if Daisy ends up getting haunted by her mother, she could just contact someone like Ghost Rider and he would take care of that.
I'm sorry. Contact Ghost Rider.
Yes.
How?
Sure, she'd find a way.
What, by some satanic ritual?
Maybe. I mean,
Maybe.
Ghost Rider is a herald of Satan, so
God, now I can imagine it. I'm imagining it now.
you're imagining Daisy performing a satanic ritual to summon Ghost Rider.
Yep, and I can even imagine like the little motorcycle just like coming along with him in hell.
Yeah. I
No,
don't
actually,
know.
no, he didn't have a motorcycle. He just had a regular car. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
the motorcycle was in the other movies, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was in the Nick Cage movie, which so Marvel has now confirmed that the Nick Cage Ghost Rider movies are going to be a multiverse story.
Oh, okay.
So that's fun. I had hoped that would happen.
Well, now you can stop hoping. It's
But
happening.
yeah, but we still haven't even seen the second one.
I mean, it's just one movie. We'll get to it.
Yeah. I mean, from what I understand, like this isn't even going to be relevant until we get to Avengers Secret Wars, and that's nowhere near close to coming out. So, um, we've got time. Time for Marvel to acquire the rights and put the movies on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. This is a good season. Is it on the level of season 4 or 5? No. I would say it's probably between season 3 and season 4.
Yeah, yeah. Remember
Well,
when we said? Remember when we reviewed season 4, and we were like, "Fuck yeah, bet this is the bee's knees."
yeah. Like honestly, I would say like you get if you want to watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., if you're somehow still listening to our episode on this and you haven't gone and watched the show yet, first of all, why? We've given it so many glowing reviews. But if you want to get into it, I would say seasons 1 and 2 are absolutely worth watching. They are good. They just have some pretty major flaws. They aren't something that would, but they they
If I
aren't
had to
enough to
describe
make
it,
the
Agents of Shield is like a roller coaster. You need to get through, you know, the you're slowly pacing it up, building everything up to get to that to the edge and just ramps off into the obscurity known as season 4 through 6.
Yeah, I would say season 1 is overall good. There's just a couple of bad moments. Season 2, I would say, is probably the worst season so far. I haven't seen season 7, but I can't
Yeah, no,
imagine
season
seasons.
7 could actually just totally just pop off. It's like terrible.
Yeah, it could, but I mean, at this rate, I doubt it. Season 3 is pretty good. There are some episodes in there that are even great, like the one with Simmons on Maveth. That episode is fantastic, grade A gold. But then you get to season 4 and season 5, where almost every episode is grade A gold, except for pretty much any moment with Cassius in season 5. He sucked. Um, and season 6 is pretty good too. So I don't know. I would say watch this show if you haven't, um, because it's good and it's honestly some of the best work I've seen out of any Marvel TV show. I don't think any of the Phase 4 shows come close to how good this is. Even Loki, I don't think comes close to how good Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is.
The only problem with that is that there's one of them has a big bar of entry, and it's not Loki. Well, actually, it could be Loki. Actually, I just realized how much you actually need to start watching it. But my point is, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is fucking long.
It is, but I think it's worth the journey.
I I don't know. I don't know if I'd actually like just stick through the entire journey. At least not at this rate. Maybe I like be a little bit more slower about it.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine you would probably go at your own pace. The only reason we're going through it like this is because we're doing a podcast. But yeah, we're about to hit the end, and then we're going to be jumping straight into Daredevil. So I guess look forward to that. But with all that said, I guess we can get into our ratings now.
Why don't you go first?
I'm sorry, what?
I said, why don't you go first?
All right. Well, I feel like this season is still really good. I don't think it's on the level of seasons 4 or 5, both of which I gave nines, somewhere in the nines too. I'll give this an 8.7.
8.5.
All right. Well, y'all can join us next week for Cars 3 and The Amazing Spider Man. And I'm pretty sure the week
Fucking
after that
Cars
is
3.
Ant Man and the Wasp. No, not Ant Man and the Wasp. Probably Captain Marvel. I'm not sure. We'll see. But I know y'all have some Marvel stuff going on for the next couple of weeks. And you can join us next month for season 7. But anyway, until next time, I've been Avery, that's been Lily, and we will be seeing you